Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. Now starting off, we had these couple legs down here pushing into this failed second entry. It's not the most clear because it's pretty sideways there, but you can still see it. You got first entry short, second entry short failure. And so I just want to show this because we had a couple legs down leading into a reversal pattern. It's very typical. The price action repeats itself basically day after day. You just got to learn how to read it. So anyway, we push on up here, and then where I started trading right here, we have this push up, this leg down right here, and I was hoping to get in long after a second leg down because, even though you have two legs up right here, at first how you'd view this is first leg up, break, second leg up. Now, after two legs up, you can expect a reversal, but the EMA is holding very strong. Even though it's getting choppy, it's unable to get through that EMA. So that's telling you it's likely that we're going to be looking for bigger picture attempts for this bigger uptrend right here, because price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. Where at first we'd see two legs up, you could expect a reversal. If it's holding, that's telling you this is, we're probably going to be looking for some bigger picture structures to continue higher if it's unable to reverse down. So we push up right here and get that second leg down, but of course everything in here is too choppy to enter long into. You don't want to enter right into all this. I was hoping that after we push higher here, we could get some kind of swing, so we can get another entry out of this chop, but we don't get that. We just push on up to the overnight high, and I just want to point out here that at first we would see this. We would have this first leg up, we get that break, get second leg up here, but the overnight high is blocking price from reaching this measured move. And so this measured move is still in play. Price can still go try to reach it, but it's clearly being blocked by this overnight high. And so you don't want to enter you don't want to enter short right off of this just because it's a major key level. There's a couple things wrong. One, you have that measured move still in play, but more importantly, you have this possible uptrend right here completely blocking your entry. Of course, this is more important than that uptrend, than that measure move not being met, because this is just very clear, straight up blocking the entry. But anyway, we get this break. Once again, this measure move is still in play. Price is likely to still reach it because even though you have two legs up right here, there's another way you got to view it, which is uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. And so, if you can get another attempt higher and, it end up pushing below the EMA and holding below, then you can look to enter on a failure for it. But anyway, we continue on up here. After we get this break, we push above the EMA. We don't get any entry. We just push back below. It's kind of chopping both ways. There's nothing clear yet. But then when we push out here, we end up just pushing straight through the overnight high. And when we did that, I was hoping, since we had this measure move in play, I was hoping that we would push up a decent bit and then get two clear attempts to fade. Because when you break out of an overnight high or when you break out of a range high, you want to wait, or even the lows for that matter too, you want to wait for two attempts to fade before you buy the breakout. Because most breakouts fail. You don't want to just buy a breakout because it closed out. You want to wait for a good reason to buy the breakout, which is a failure to fade. If it fails to fade, then it's likely to strongly break out, and that's what you want to get in on. So when we pushed out here, I was hoping to see two attempts to fade so I can enter on the failure to fade to reach this measure move here, but we end up just continuing on higher. And, we're in this pretty clear, push up right here. So we basically have, on a bigger picture, I zoom out. Let me just delete this. Notice how these two legs here eventually become one bigger leg, and then you drag this over here. And look how perfect that measured move fits. So, look at that measured move level, the reaction to it. It didn't do it to the tick, but the bodies are right off it. This is basically to the tick. Two perfect legs up, immediately strong reversal right when it's met. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, right here, I just want to talk about why I don't like this long. Some may say, you didn't quite reach the measured move, and then you got a second entry long. Why wouldn't you want to go long right there to reach it? And it's simply because at this point right here, when it comes within a tick of it, I can't be so sure of whether it's actually met or not. Sometimes it'll play out, it'll act as played out, even though it only came within a tick. And so when I see a trend just continuously going on higher here, only to turn down within a tick of reaching the measured move. As far as I'm concerned, it's likely that it's met and turning back down here. So I'm not going to take a sideways choppy second entry when there's a very high chance that this basically has measured move met, reversing back down. I'm not going to take a choppy trade like that. But in this case here, it did not act as as if it was met, played out. So we pushed down off the EMA, fully reached that measured move here, and then reversed back down. But you can't be so sure. It really looks like it's met there, and that's the only point. And it just so happens to turn down pretty strong at that point there. You can't be so sure that it's actually trying to go reach that measured move again if it's so close like that. But anyway, so we push on down here, extremely strong reversal here. And I just want to show, after this downtrend got this break, I'm going to go over some more price action levels and showing you them as they get bigger. And I'll get more detailed in this before. I'm going to talk about some stuff that goes up here because I'm going to go over the levels, but I'll come back to this and get more detailed. So we have downtrend, we have this break, and now at first some may try to say, we have this, and I'm going to go really small picture here for a sec. Some may say downtrend, break, first attempt lower, but that little tiny tick lower right there. We have the first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure. And then that failure of that very small second attempt lower formed this second leg up, because you can see there's two legs up right there. And so on an even bigger picture, you would see downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. And then when you get that second attempt lower, it ends up failing up higher and not making a new low. So it's downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure. But of course, the price action levels, they just keep getting bigger as more time goes on. You can tell, this is basically one leg up right here. Even though you have two legs right there, this is basically just one leg. And when you get a break of it, that's your first attempt down. So you have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure. And then once again, when it fails right there, that sends us into this next leg. So now we have these two bigger legs. So notice how it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. At first you had those couple small attempts, led into a failure, and those failures keep forming these bigger price action structures. And so I do want to mention right here, if you went long right here, I actually do think that is it's not that bad. I mean, I would keep it within this, it was getting pretty choppy. It's not the most clear, it's not the most ideal entry, because I was expecting another attempt at a new low. So I was not looking to go long here, but I just want to say, it was after two attempts technically, so it's not the worst trade in the world, so long as you weren't trying to push it out of the overnight high going for a huge target or anything. But once again, I was not looking to go long here. This was too small picture of a second attempt down for me to completely switch gears, because this was a very strong reversal down. So even though technically it was a failure right there, a failure entry to go long, I still do not think it's good. But if you took it, it's not the worst in the world. You're going on the right track. If you knew that this was getting bigger picture as it was forming, then you're definitely on the right track. But this was a very strong reversal here, and I would be looking for a second attempt lower, especially because with these two legs down right here, they're not measured. So considering how strong this was, it could tick higher, attempt to reach that measured move down and stop you out. But anyway, moving on from that, we push up here, make that second leg. So now it's very clear that on an even bigger picture, we have this downtrend and then two-legged break. It's very common to get two-legged breaks. Kind of like how when we push down right here, it was right after these two legs going into this decently strong move down. Same thing right here. After we got these two legs up here, then we got this pretty strong attempt down. So I just wanted to go over these price action levels. Maybe I went on for that too long, but I'm just trying to make it clear. And I understand even this explanation I gave could be confusing. You really got to train your eyes on it to see it in real time. But basically, that gets into this break-even trade here. The way I viewed this was, so I'm going to move this trend for a second. I viewed this as a two-legged break, which I'm going to quickly show how the measure move looks from here. So downtrend, two-legged break, expecting a new low, and then we just poured out back into the overnight high. And when I draw this trend line, there's no STT here. Notice how this bar is closing out. So I felt confident in it. And I knew that beforehand, when we got this correction here, it was holding pretty well on the EMA. You can see those two legs up there, but it could have been more clear. It could have had another decent push down, and then you would have a more clear two legs. Because notice how this correction right here, it really was holding pretty well. So it's not as clear as if it had a bigger, break here, but you can still see those two legs up here. And so it's not surprising that it ended up not going too far because, like I said, it was getting a little bit bullish right here. It didn't have very big separation between these legs, but you can still clearly see them. But the point is, it was getting more bullish, and that's why I think it wasn't able to get a very good push down. So when it closed out right here, I did use a limit order, and it basically filled me, and then it just kept going up, and then I got filled break even on this pullback right here. I'm glad I managed to get out at break even. So I do think it's a generally good looking trade, but when you see something like this right before showing it's very bullish, and with your two legs kind of looking like a one little trend up right there, you do got to be open-minded to possibly getting out. If it ends up turning on you, unable to get back below, you got to get out at break even. And so I'm glad I was able to get out there. And I switched gears pretty fast because when that happened, we rushed back above the EMA and it was unable to get back for so long. This is a sign that it's turning higher. It's getting bullish here. And so at this point here, when we get this leg down, after this two-legged break, we have our first attempt at a new low, second attempt at a new low. So it's like downtrend, two-legged break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure, holding on this overnight high above the EMA. And another thing I'd like to point out is we broke the overnight high, and then we have the first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade, failure. Just like I was talking about earlier, how when it broke out here, I wanted to see two attempts to fade so I could buy the failure to fade and continue with that breakout. Same thing right here. We have a measured move in play. I can expect price to attempt to reach it. We broke out, and we have two attempts to fade in, and it ends up holding back above. And so that's why I like this long right here, and I pushed the target to that measured move level right there. I left a couple ticks room just to be safe here, so it doesn't bounce right off of it before hitting the target. But I was able to push my target up to it is the point I'm making. So I like that trade right there a whole lot. Let me get this channel back here. So I drew this uptrend here. I was hoping we could have gotten two clear legs to the key entry point, but we don't. We get this one leg, we push back up, it starts getting choppy. Unfortunately, nothing to take there. We continue up, and then we almost reach that measured move right there, which let me just re-copy this right there just so I can show the full visual there. We got those two legs up there. Kind of like over here how it barely didn't reach and then turned down, and you're not so sure if it was actually reached or not because it was so borderline. Similar kind of thing right here. We pushed up, nearly reached it, had a pretty sharp push down. And so some may say, you bounced off the key entry point right there, and you had this measure move still in play. Why not go long there? It's because it could have, it could be considered met. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect to the tick. Sometimes it'll show up a tick short. I'm not surprised it happened twice. It's kind of like a repeat pattern, almost. Happening at the same level here, also making this double top. So, it's getting to be a strong level here. So when I see a rush below, then ends up closing below the EMA, I'm not going to be wanting to go long here, especially on just a first entry. So anyway, we push up. We do end up reaching that measure move, and then we attempt to reverse off of it. We get pretty choppy. We're in this range right here, starting to form this range. It's very not clear. And when you push off here, before you go long after reaching a major measure move, you do have to see two clear legs down. And by the time you get two legs down, notice you get this first leg down, break, second leg down. You don't want to enter right into the EMA after coming off such a major level. It's just not ideal. And then even when you rush above right here, you close above the EMA. I mean, first off, this first leg down was within this uptrend right here, which sometimes that's not always a big deal, which I'm not going to get too into that right now, but you do still have two legs down, but this second leg is very choppy. Even when you rush above right here, this is a major level, 2 legs up, which once again, price action levels, like I say, they get bigger as more time goes on. I almost forgot to go over the biggest price action level, which is basically this whole day is 2 legs right here. Measured move is still in play, but you can clearly see you have push up, a break, second leg higher right there. So no way I'm going to be going long in this area here. Now anyways, we push on down here. It'd be ideal to get a reversal pattern, a failed second entry, to go short below the EMA, because you can expect price to attempt to retest this. Just like when it breaks out, you can expect it to retest on a small level at first and then get a bigger picture retest. I can expect a pretty big picture retest right here because, once again, we do still have this bigger measured move in play. And, we could get a long to reach it. What I'd like to see is, which, even though we have that in play, like I was saying, we can look for a reversal back down to reach this measure move. But if we do retest it, push back higher, then I would be looking for a long to reach this bigger measure move. So, most ideal thing would be a reversal pattern down, but once you do bounce off of here, I'd like to see basically just another reversal pattern back up, another failed second entry holding above the EMA after retesting. That'd be great. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helped out in some way, and I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.